By Kaplan?
This kind of learning, of just learning in order to know what it says, what comes out, what are the dinim that come out of the Gemara. So that's a certain dveikis in the Gemara itself, in the Torah. I just want to know the Torah. There's a certain element of lishma in that kind of learning that's not so common. Because the Koach HaTorah of the Chazon Ish put him in a place, or let's say like this, in the Sefer Nefesh HaChaim he brings, and it's probably in many Sfarim, that this what a person has, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, three parts to the Neshama. Then there's, of course, higher parts, Chaya, Yechidah. But the main parts are Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. He says, the Nefesh is inside the person. The Ruach is the connection between the person and the higher world. The Neshama is up above. The Neshama is up in Gan Eden, in Olam Haba. It's not in the person. Because we have to always know when we talk about these things, we talk about in and out and above and below. I mean, in Ruchnis, there is no such thing as in and out and above and below. It's not up and down. It's inyonim, it's bechinas, it's the union of being inside the person. That means that it does something to the person itself. It's operating on the person, and the ruach is from the outside of the person. It's connecting him to some higher place. The neshama is the higher part of the person, which a person can go through a big part of his life and not at all be connected to that to the part of him, which is the part that's the spiritual part, which without the body, like leaving the body on the side. They say that there were tzaddikim that on Erev Yom Kippur they took their body and they hung it up on the hook, just like you hang up your coat on the hook, and the whole Yom Kippur they were on a shoma. Motzei Yom Kippur they came back to their body. But it's not only in Yom Kippur. They say this on Chaim Brisker, that once he was very shakua and learning in a sugya a few hours, all of a sudden after he woke up from his deep thoughts, and he said, "Wait, what are these two things hanging on my sides?" It was his arms. He forgot that he had a body. And this can happen. This can happen. A person can become what you call neshamadik. He can become a spiritual person. That doesn't just mean that he talks about being high and he talks about spirit, but really he's living very low and he's not aware of it. To be neshamadik really means that you put your body on the side and you forget that you have a body and you become spiritual. That's the neshama. That's connecting to the neshama. Now, somebody that's dovuk in Torah like the Chazon Ish, now what do we understand? Such a melus that can maybe make a person weak. We mamish are so far from having that feeling, having that understanding. I don't know, there's some of us, I think I could say myself, hardly ever experienced a mash of this experience of being spiritual and forgetting yourself. Maybe I could say a few times in my life I had the taste of it. Of course, others have much more. So, and the Chazon Ish was day in and day out, had that time. So you can imagine what that means, what kind of person he must have been. Once a person is ruchni, so he has a different look on the world, a different outlook on everything. It's like looking at the world through the Torah. I was thinking You hear a lot of stories about tzaddikim, about mopshim of tzaddikim. Recently it caught me, I remember this story about the Siataner. He was from the Rizhiner dynasty. He was in Eretz Yisrael. And he said somebody came up to him. Somebody went through the war, and he wanted to go off the derech because he went through the war. He was in Tel Aviv. He came to Eretz Yisrael, settled in Tel Aviv, and he was, I don't know if he was off the derech or almost off the derech. And somebody told him, go to the Siataner. He was then in Yerushalayim, in Kiryat Moshe, he lived. And this person was planning to go up to him and tell him his questions. Obviously his questions were, why does Hashem do such thing? Why did he do that? Why did he make a holocaust, you know? So we don't know what it is. We didn't go through. We have we can't judge these people. So the Rebbe was sitting outside in the yard, and he was learning and sitting between two trees and learning. So the Gabbai said to this person, go up to him and talk to him. So he went up to the Rebbe and he gave him shalom. So the Rebbe said, oh, you're the Yid from Tel Aviv. So he said, yeah, I am. And he said shalom, and he went away. So the Gabbai said to him, what'd you go away for? You came to ask certain questions. So he said, I don't know, but I just had this feeling that as soon as I said shalom, and he said, you're the Yid from Tel Aviv, all the questions just went away. They just vanished. My emunah became clear. And the pshat is because tzaddikim are people that they're living in a ruchnistic world. They're connected to the or that was created in the first 3 days of the Bria, before Hashem was Gonis, the or. The Gemara says, Adam Ra Misofa Olam Bad Sofa, with that or. And I heard of there's a medrash that says when Hashem was Gonis, that or, Gonzo Bat Torah, he was Gonis it in the Torah. That means the or that was created in the first 3 days of the world, before Hashem made the sun and the moon and hung them in the sky, and he put away this or. That or was a whole different kind of or. A person could see from one end of the world to the other, which means there was nothing blocking it. Nothing stood in its way of not being able to see. And seeing doesn't just mean seeing physical objects. It means seeing ruchni, seeing good and bad. Seeing Hashem, kibiyoch. That means seeing, realizing and feeling the presence of Hashem. That's what that or did to a person. And in Gonzo Batorah, Hashem put it into, he hid it in the Torah. And we don't have that because we weren't zochet to them as a Torah. But somebody that's zochet to Torah, it's Moshe Nefesh to learn Torah. Moshe Nefesh means in the hardest situations, he learns and learns and learns. His yigiyah is tremendous with all his kochas. It means his whole goof. He gives away everything for Torah. So he's connected to that Or Rishon, which was before he was Gonizeh. And he could see from one end of the world to the other. That means when this Yid came from Tel Aviv, he could see in him that he came from Tel Aviv. And he was able to be in the presence in the Daled Amos of a tzaddik like that meant that you have some kind of a feeling of that or, and the emunah all of a sudden shines in the person, and he himself starts all these questions. Why did Hashem do this? That's like blockages. It's like walls that mechitzes that stand in front of the person that blocked the emunah from him. But with this aura that you could see means there's no mechitzas, nothing can block the person from seeing. All of a sudden, this person, he didn't see that the Holocaust could be a contradiction to Hashgacha Pratis. All of a sudden he understood that everything is Hashem's will. The tzaras, the terrible, terrible tzaras, that word was Hashem. He could see that there's Hashem's will was there. That's what the tzaddik was able to shine into the person of being in the presence of the tzaddik. I just now today bought a book, a sefer from Rav Steinman, that they were malakit. It's called Ele B'Toma, and they were malakit the things that Rav Steinman said from the name of the Briskerov and Rav Chaim, and about the city Brisk, and about his youth, and a lot of other sichas that he said. His sichas Chulin, which is also Torah, and Rav Steinman said, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. He says in the beginning of this, so he says over here that whoever saw the Chazon Ish, just seeing him was mechazik in Yeres Shomayim. That was such a koach, he says, that gave a chizik in Yeres Shomayim. That's and how it was. How did that give a chizik in Yeres Shomayim? We don't know. We don't understand. But that's how it was. And from that koach came out all these things, everything he said, and his attitude towards things, or his view on things, like they would say in the modern world. It's all coming from that. It's all noveya, from this mayon, from this spring that's coming there. From this spring, from this Ein Sof, this Lamala Min HaTeva, the Kekach HaTorah, everything comes from there. Now, let's say, for example, he has here a chapter on the attitude towards women. And he looks at it like this, that first of all, there was a whole sugya of the wives of the people of the air, Nidachas, that they worshipped Avodah Zorah. Do you have to kill the women also? The Chazon Ish is more note that you don't kill the women. It's a whole sugya. On the other hand, when it comes to Yerushas Abbas, the Chazon Ish was so strong that this is the Chilonim, the Apikarsim, that they want to make. There should be such a thing as Yerushas Abbas. The daughter should Yarshin. I mean, what does he see that he's against women here? You see, he's for women. That's such a chitzoniistic look at the subject. The pshat is, this is Torah over here. To talk about what was the Chazon Ish's attitude towards women. The sugya of Nidachas is one sugya. In fact, it was in last week's parsha. The sugya of Nidachas is one sugya. Do you kill the wives of the Avodah Zorah? And we want to know what the Torah said over there. That's what we're interested in. What did the Torah say on it? When it came to Yerushas Abbas, so the question was, what did the Torah say on it? The Torah can contradict itself. The Torah could say 1 and 1 is 3. The Torah, because the Torah is Lamala Min HaTeva. We don't understand the Torah at all. We close up our mind. We're meshabed ourselves to the Ratzon of the Torah. The Chazon Ish didn't have any other Ratzon, any other view, any other opinion but the Torah. All he was, his whole Messias was, let's know what Hashem said in the Torah. So by Nidachas, Hashem was against the women.
Rabbi Kaplan, we're taking a break now. Thank you.